Welcome to the Georgia Highlands College Math 97 and Math 99 video tutorials. In this video segment, we'll be answering the question, how do you factor a trinomial with a leading negative term? Well, the first thing you want to do is factor out the negative GCF, which is going to change all the signs of the terms in your trinomial. Then you'll factor the remaining trinomial within the parentheses. Finally, you'll check this through multiplication. Let's take a look at an example. We'll start with the example negative 16x squared plus 16x plus 96. Notice that the a coefficient on the x squared term is negative. So we want to find the negative GCF to factor out before we begin our other factoring methods. And in this case, each of these terms contains the factor 16. So 16 is the GCF, negative 16 is the negative GCF. So that's what I'll be dividing out of each term, is negative 16. And when I divide negative 16x by negative 16, I end up with positive x squared. Positive 16x divided by negative 16 gives us negative x. And positive 96 divided by negative 16 gives negative 6. So now we've factored out the negative GCF, and all we have left to do is factor the trinomial whose understood leading coefficient is 1, using the method that we've learned in previous videos. So we'll ask ourselves the question, what can we multiply to make negative 6, but add to make negative 1? Now that negative 1 that we're adding to make comes from the bx term, that understood negative 1 there. So in thinking about the factors of negative 6, we should be able to come up with negative 3 times positive 2 gives negative 6, and negative 3 plus positive 2 gives negative 1. So we still have our factor of negative 16 that must join the other part we're factoring, and we can set up our space to finish factoring the trinomial from inside the parentheses. So from the work we did with our factoring TP, we see that x minus 3 and x plus 2 are our other factors. So the factored form of negative 16x squared plus 16x plus 96 is negative 16 times x minus 3 times x plus 2. And we need to check this with multiplication. In the last video segment, we talked about how to properly multiply three factors together. So the first thing we'll do is distribute this negative 16 into the first set of parentheses. We'll get that result and multiply it by the x plus 2. So this is negative 16x plus 48 times x plus 2. Now we have distribution of each term in the first set of parentheses to each term in the second set of parentheses. Negative 16x times x is negative 16x squared. Negative 16x times 2 is negative 32x. Coming back and distributing the 48, we have 48 times x, which is positive 48x, and 48 times 2, which is positive 96. Combining like terms, we get negative 16x squared plus 16x plus 96, which, as you can see, is the same polynomial we began with. So the factored form of negative 16x squared plus 16x plus 96 is negative 16 times x minus 3 times x plus 2. I hope this has been helpful for you in understanding how to factor a trinomial with a leading negative coefficient. If you have any other questions about this concept or method, please contact your Highlands instructor.